Good afternoon. We're ready to start if you folks are.
My name's Robert Ames, here from Yahoo. We're going to be talking about Silverlight and Flash video and how it might be affecting you.
And good afternoon, and thanks for coming. This is Silverlight and Flash video on the internet. My name is Matt Smith, and I spent almost 10 years at Yahoo, but now I'm with Inlet Technologies, and we'd like to share some insights learned at Yahoo with you. So we're talking about video. So these are containers and codecs. Pretty complex-looking matrix, and I say that as a joke, but also seriously, because it's very complicated. Lots of formats, lots of containers, lots of different types of payload. It's not an easy thing. So meet the internet. This is how we deliver video, browsers and platforms. And this is an example of how Yahoo calls to an A-grade type performance on a browser with a plugin. Whether the platform is Firefox, IE, Mac, or OS. And don't forget this column on the right, Linux and mobile. We can't forget about those guys because we are delivering video there. So here's the internet, and here's this merry band of plugins. Most of you recognize these icons. They represent the different plugins that we all use to deliver video to these various platforms online. Don't forget that little guy in the lower right-hand corner either. That is the video tag. It's part of HTML5. But it means different things to different people, different OSs, different browsers. Fairly complex situation. So roll all these things together. What does it mean? It means people want an experience that's just easy. They want to hit play and have it work. We wish this weren't true.
So what does Silverlight bring to the table? It brings quite a bit. It brings WMV support, of course, H.264 support in the recent releases, has the bitrate switching, the smooth streaming. It's available for Windows and Macintosh, IE, Firefox, Safari. I even heard that they have some Linux stuff that some people are trying to work on. And it has more than just support for IE. That's a real critical factor for us at Yahoo. We've been fighting terribly with the Windows Media Player, which was not quite as well supported as Silverlight on non-IE platforms.
So good point. Historically, it's important to note that rewind about 2 to 2.5 years. We were talking about IE and the Windows Media Player, Player OCX, if you will. It was an easy scenario. Flowers were blooming, sun was shining, everyone was happy. The video experience, platform-wise, is a lot more complicated today than it was then.
As I mentioned, we did not have scriptability on Firefox. It was on Firefox for Windows. It was basically a fire and forget experience. You loaded the video up and you hoped that it finished on time. If there were any delivery problems, buffering issues, there was really no way to inspect it because the controls weren't there until, I believe, 2008, kind of 2007. The WMP11 had some extra support for Firefox on Windows. On Flip for Mac, that was the delivery option for Windows Media on Macintosh, and that was a forget and fire experience. It was really rather terrible as far as compared to the Windows Media native experience on Internet Explorer. And even with the Flip for Mac, you were still stuck with using DHTML or Flash for controls because all the plugin did was provide the video experience. It did not have capabilities for buttons or non-native buttons, basically. So is there a way out? Is there something that we can do to raise the bar for this experience? Of course you can do a Silverlight-only player. You've probably seen the demos. You've probably seen the toolkits and wizards that'll do that for you. But what we've done at Yahoo, at least for the short term, is we've taken Silverlight, the media component of Silverlight, and wrote a wrapper around that, linked it up with JavaScript, used our existing Flash and DHTML controls, and really just used Silverlight as a way to increase our reach on, especially on the non-IE platforms, which are far more diverse now than they were in the past. So another thing that we've kind of done experimentally is looked at overlaying Flash and Silverlight, or Silverlight and Flash, using the transparency tools that are built into both of those. And I'm really pleased that we'll be able to show you a demo of that now.
So why is this relevant? Why does it matter? You know, wish you the best of luck, because it's a complex situation. First, legacy content can be in any format. So if you're an enterprise and you're doing any type of video, you're probably familiar with real networks. You're probably familiar with QuickTime, Windows Media, Flash VP6, Flash H.264. It's a complicated space, and it's made more complex by these old legacy types of files that we've got to keep around. Then there's the users. So more and more people are uploading content to these various services from mobile devices, from PCs, from Macs, from their consumer electronics devices.
They're uploading stuff from cameras, they're uploading stuff from their telephones, they're uploading stuff from just everywhere.
So the funnel coming in is enormous. The easiest way for you to manage this is manage the funnel coming out. Keep it simple. So, and lastly, live streams, different tool sets, whole different environment, kind of like being a contestant on Survivor. Very complex, and the advantage here is that the Windows Media Platform is very mature in that sense. Flash has made its inroads, but the Windows Media Platform is mature enough to where, depending on the size of your organization, you can use their native tools, or you can use enterprise solutions like the ones we have at Inlet. But very importantly, the bottom end of this slide, I want to bring to your attention the VOD piece. Keep your original source files. This is very much a moving target that we're talking about. Even though we've created a slide deck today, this discussion is different 12 months from now. Disk space is cheap. Keep your original files. Go to Fry's and buy a 2 terabyte drive for $100 if you're doing 100 files a week. If you're an enterprise, daisy chain them together and make a really big storage array. But keep in mind that transcoding is very computer intense. You're going to spend a lot of resources continually transcoding these files if you don't think this through.
If you did have to transcode those 2 terabytes worth of video, you'd be there, if you were on your laptop, you'd be there all year, basically. What are your options here? What can you do? Well, one obvious thing is to have multiple front ends. If you're delivering WMV, you use WMV delivery with the Windows Media Player Silverlight. If you're delivering Flash, you do the same. And the problem with that is that it's kind of expensive. You either have to have one group of people that know both platforms really well, the rocket scientist, or you basically need to have 2 teams, 2 front ends, 2 places for there to be bugs, 2 places where you have to implement your business logic. And that is, frankly, it's a very expensive proposition for most companies, most enterprises.
So how do you get around it? How do you make it easy for you? Transcode to something useful. Know that a single source means that you win. If you can stop managing multiple types of compression schemes, all the ones I mentioned earlier, and let's say, for example, you can manage to a VC1 Windows Media type of infrastructure, that means you win. Because you have to manage fewer front ends, like Robert mentioned, fewer players to render that content, fewer back ends to process it. If you have to manage a pool of 50 Flash Media servers and 50 Windows Media servers, you're increasing your complexity and the probability you're going to get a late night phone call, by an order of magnitude.
Even if it's something as simple as just supporting multiple bit rates, that adds another layer of complexity. How do you switch between those bit rates? Do you have separate files? Adding a whole other front end is just, it's even more complicated. You also have to know your audience. You have to know who you're delivering these files to, why they're there to watch your files. If you're on an intranet, if you have a locked down desktop type situation, if you know what version of browser and plugins everybody's using, your job is a lot easier. You're able to say, you know what, I'm going to make one delivery experience, I'm going to use these plugins, I'm going to make sure everybody has their updates. At Yahoo, well, fortunately, I guess, we have a whole variety of people who come to visit Yahoo, and we want to make sure that video works for all of them. We want to make video work for your grandma, your developers, your boss, your CEO, your kids, and a lot of people, they don't have the ability to install the plugins, new plugins. They don't want to install different plugins, and we have to really kind of respect that and provide the best type of experience we can for them.
So the other important thing is to monetize this, right? We're going to offer this video online somewhere. We want to make money off of it. So know your advertisers and know the complexity in serving them. So know that they have habits that are hard to break. In this online video space, with a live case I've made notwithstanding, Flash has a pretty significant foothold. So know that these agencies are probably going to provide you with creative assets that are Flash-centric, or a QuickTime type file and a PNG file. And your job is going to be to adapt. So how do I get that into a form that is going to be easy for me to deliver via Silverlight presentation layer?
If you have, for example, data-driven ads, it might be very easy to throw a keyword ad on both a Flash and a Silverlight player, but it might be correspondingly harder if your advertiser provides you with a rich media microsite to investigate a car or run some filters and searches. That might be very difficult to support in both environments, and your advertisers will most likely resist that. So right now, I'm going to show you a quick demo of Silverlight controlled by Flash. This is on Yahoo right now.
So this is an example of what we did for UFC. So UFC is a pay-per-view type scenario, and who doesn't like to see two men punching each other in the back of the head? And what we determined here was that there was a little bit of resistance in deploying a plugin, but we found that users of this type of content are there for a little bit longer. They're going to spend time and pay for the experience. And our product people, the product people at Yahoo said, okay, a plugin takes about a minute to install, not that big a deal. What Robert was able to do was build an experience that really made it easy to use the legacy platform at Yahoo and really make a good user experience.
So up at the top here, we have the Silverlight video area and the Flash or DHTML controls. And this actually works pretty well, although due to some of the quirks of security issues and everything, you do require, for full screen support, the user must initiate the click on the Flash object. It's something to take into consideration as an enterprise deployment type of issue. On the old WMP player, it was kind of cool because you could actually just pop the video with a direct click. Actually, let's switch back over here. I have one other demo. I'm going to show you now, pause this guy. I'm going to show you now the, oh, don't tell me my computer locked up. Yeah, it looks like computer locked up. Okay, so we are going to switch back to, I'll try and work through this, okay. And maybe Matt, you can.
So, when you're talking about Silverlight controlled by Flash, minimal migration path here, relatively straightforward, what we've just seen. It fits existing implementation deployments with very little player interaction with the overlays that Robert showed us earlier.
My computer, I have to reboot it, so maybe we'll get to the demo of the overlay, Flash overlaying Silverlight in a minute. But the really cool thing, too, about using WMP and Silverlight in conjunction is that you get reach almost for free. You can have a very similar model for both of those situations, and you can easily fall back to WMP on when you're on an IE Windows situation. You get the full control in IE Windows, and you get to expand your reach onto Macintosh and Firefox and get full control over there as well.
And again, the moral of some of these slides that you've seen is that everything is a first-class citizen. You mitigate some of these cross-platform, cross-browser issues to where what Robert alluded to, the fire and forget, is mitigated. As he mentioned in some of these earlier slides, you can use JavaScript to bridge the gap and to really make it work. Better interaction available and a single source for business logic. Don't try to manage too many front ends. Again, we're repeating that same message over and over again.
Obviously, as well, you can do Silverlight by itself. If you could go to the next slide. We're not going to show you a demo of Silverlight by itself. You've probably seen a whole bunch of, as I've mentioned in the example kits, about people using Silverlight to deliver player experiences. There are issues with that, though, because Silverlight has not yet reached ubiquity. It's not everywhere in the same way that Flash is. You might have prompting issues. You might have issues when you're embedding off-site. If people are if people don't have it, you might not be able to embed those things offsite for MySpace, for example. With offsite as well, mixing Flash, JavaScript, and Silverlight is actually near impossible because no offsite partner, unless you have a very close working relationship with them, will let you drop in that JavaScript because of the security issues surrounding it. And I think I can give the demo.
Back to the demo.
Back to the demo. Nothing happened. So Flash on top of Silverlight. This is actually pretty cool. Right here, this is a basic Flash player, and it has the transparency, and it's the browser HTML background. And what we're doing here is we're starting up a Flash video. We're going to conceptually request help for a WMV video, and we're going to hide the Flash video. So you're able to basically seamlessly, this up here is still Flash, but the Silverlight part is controlled by Silverlight, whereas Flash is overlaying that. And you can switch between the videos. You get really pretty fast switching, and you get this really a first-class citizen effect between the two people working together here. You see here, this is the Flash video, in which I can put it back up so it's fully Flash, partially mixed, and then I'm hiding the video, but I still get all the overlay and Flash controls. And this is a potentially extremely attractive type of solution for being able to work with display ads, being able to work with rich Flash media, and to not care whether you're serving a Flash file or a Windows media file. So what's the final answer? I mean, Matt, should I just use Flash for everything?
No, Robert, I think you should use Silverlight.
But, you know, Silverlight supports H.264, so maybe if I just made everything H.264, then I wouldn't have any problems with this.
No, you don't want to paint yourself into a corner. Why don't you just transcode everything?
Yeah, well, you're right. I do have to have a transcode strategy available. But I think at the end, what we really care about is that you need to know your advertisers. You need to know what, if advertisers are important to you, you need to know what they're comfortable with, what they're going to be giving to you, and what they're going to accept, and how you can adapt to that.
There's no one catch-all. Right? So the no thing, if there's one thing we want to resonate in this mini session, is that you take away knowing who your audience is, who your advertisers are, who your users are, and how it applies to your enterprise. But the notion, again, is, especially the live example applies probably best. You can use those legacy Windows media infrastructures using Silverlight to tap into that to create a good and a vibrant experience. Or if you're a larger enterprise, you can look at those enterprise solutions if you have a larger infrastructure with the solutions like we have at Inlet.
A lot of things, too, depend upon what developer resources you have available. There's a lot of people out there with Flash experience, making video players, making advertisements, but there's a lot of corporations out there who have a lot of .NET, C# experience. And depending upon where your organization is going, that is a very important consideration to undertake, is can your developers ramp up with Flash, or can they ramp up with Silverlight, or can you find those resources, and can you deliver that rich experience that your users are looking for? We have time for a few questions if people have questions. Also, some bookkeeping if you can fill out the surveys. And we will be over in the third space directly after this. So, questions, anyone? I can talk to you about that afterwards. Unfortunately, it's Yahoo code, and I don't quite have permission to just go handing it out. It's not quite in the state where I'd want to do that either, but I can definitely talk over those issues with you. Other questions? It's not that simple.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.